Have you ever thought to yourself, man, this whole writing life is just way more complicated than I thought it was going to be? I mean, not only is there learning how to write a good story or a good novel or a good poem, but it's the author platform and how do we market our books and how do we find readers? And pretty soon it just gets overwhelming. I mean, it can feel like this giant tangled mess that you're somehow supposed to navigate on your own. And when it starts piling up, it's easy to feel like maybe we're just not cut out for all this after all. I've been in that place more times than I can tell you. But recently I heard something that helped me step out of the overwhelm and back into something simpler and truer. Because for all the pressure and all the noise and all the things that we think we have to do to be successful writers, there's actually just one thing that writing asks of us. Just one. And I'm serious about that. And once you see it, the weight is going to start to lift. Stick with me. A little while ago, I caught an interview with the great actor Russell Crowe. He's been doing press lately for his new film Nuremberg, which, by the way, he was absolutely fantastic in it if you get a chance to see it. But you may know him from the original Gladiator, another great movie. A Beautiful Mind, Master and Commander. He's a wonderful actor. So I'm listening to this interview, and in it, Crowe was reflecting on what acting really is, what the work really asks of him. Not the fame or the recognition, but the actual doing of it, the craft. And at one point he said something that just lodged itself in my brain. It was this: the only thing you're required to do as an actor is to give. That line hit me hard, because he didn't say perform, or achieve, or be perfect, or impress, or even entertain. He said give. And then he described what that really means. He talked about how on day 57 of an 80-day shoot, you haven't slept, and you're not eating right, and you're bone-deep tired. And still, the only thing expected of you in that moment is to give. Sound familiar? I think you know that feeling, because we do that as writers, right? And then he said this, which was even better. He said, once you see it like that and understand that it's more of a calling than a job, you know, a lot of people who are like, Miss Idaho Potato Festival, that one got me laughing, or, think they're handsome or whatever. They don't understand what the job really requires. The camera is inanimate, and you have to learn to feed the camera. That stayed with me because writing is just like that. The page is inanimate. It's not going to spark anything on its own. It just sits there, cold and silent. We have to give something to it. And that's not performance or perfection or polish. It's not some dazzling display of genius. We just have to give of who we are in that moment. Just our authentic presence, our truth. That's the deal. That's the calling. And once we can see it like that, I think, not as a test or a race or some impossible mountain we have to climb, but as a calling that only ever asks us to give again and again. It changes how we come to the page. And maybe more importantly, it changes what we expect from ourselves once we're there. So what does this actually look like for writers? What does it mean to give to the page, especially if you're tired or uncertain or you have a lot of self-doubt? It's probably simpler than you think. I have 3 ways that I think we do it. Number 1, we give emotionally. Writing asks us to be present, fully and emotionally, with what's happening on the page. And that's not always easy. I mean, if we're tired or stressed out or tangled up in our own heads, it's hard to drop down into the world of our characters. But we have to be willing to feel what they're feeling and to stand beside them in the scene they're in. I think of it kind of like being there for a friend who really needs you. If you can imagine a friend calling you up maybe after they've lost someone really close to them, or maybe they've gotten a horrible health diagnosis, and they really need someone in that moment, so they call you. If you show up distracted or preoccupied, they're going to feel it. But if you can set your own stuff aside, even just briefly, and be fully present with them, it'll make all the difference to both of you. I think writing's like that. It's about offering a moment of real presence, meeting the work with whatever emotional truth your characters need at that moment, setting everything in your life aside for just the time that you're going to devote to the page. And if all you can give is 15 minutes, then that's what you give. But it's 15 minutes of true emotional presence, without all the other stuff in the way, which is worth a lot more than 30 minutes of distracted effort. Because this is part of the job, to give emotionally, to the story and to the characters and to the page, selflessly and as best we can. There's a kind of quiet stamina that writing requires. And if you've written a complete novel, you know what I'm talking about. It requires stamina. When your schedule is packed, your mind is full, and your body just wants a break, you show up and you give. And this kind of giving is about energy. I think of this like Frodo and Sam and their long journey to destroy the ring in Lord of the Rings. It's this long, difficult slog. They get tired and they get discouraged, and at some points they feel like they're never going to make it, and they just keep going. I think that's what writing a book is like. We just keep showing up and giving whatever energy we have. All we have to have is a willingness to offer something, anything, to the work at that point. Even if all you do is move a scene forward by a few lines or jot down one more sentence, that might not survive the next edit. But that effort still counts because it still moves the story. We forget sometimes that these small little repeated tasks build momentum, and that showing up with whatever you have to give, even if it's not much, is still a kind of generosity because it keeps the story awake and it keeps you connected to it. And over time, that consistency starts to gather into something substantial. But there's one more kind of giving that I don't think we talk about enough. In a world that's constantly pulling us in a dozen different directions at once, attention has become one of the rarest things we can offer. And yet, writing depends on it. It asks us to notice and to listen and to stay with something long enough to see what it's really trying to say. Sometimes that means paying close attention to a character, to what they want, or maybe what they're not saying, or how they're changing over the course of the story. Other times it means watching your own reactions and following the thread that makes you feel alive so that you can actually get the writing done in that time. This kind of giving doesn't always look perfect. You might spend half an hour staring at a paragraph or walking around thinking about a line. But that attention is part of the work. It's how the story starts to trust you, and it's how you stay tethered to something deeper than the checklist of what you're supposed to be doing. And even when you're too tired to write or too overwhelmed to revise, you can still give your attention to the story. You can keep it flickering in the back of your mind, and you can stay close enough to it that you can still continue to move it forward. So after all of that, what does it really come down to? What's the one thing we need to do as writers, no matter where we are in the process? And it's this: all writing is asking of you is to give the best of yourself that you can in that moment. That's it. Whether you're writing a new scene, finishing a newsletter, figuring out how to share your book, or stumbling through a draft that refuses to cooperate, you're giving. And there's a kind of sacrifice in this. When I think over Russell Crowe's quote, I think that's kind of what was at the core of this. That no matter how you feel in the moment, what else is going on in your life, when you come to the page, you give to it. That is the sacrifice in that moment. That you're willing to come to the page and sacrifice whatever energy, attention, and emotional presence you have in that moment to this story that you're creating. And later, that giving goes to the reader and to the world. And that's your only job. It's not to beat yourself up if the book doesn't hit a bestseller list. Your job is not to go viral. And your job is not to pretend to be someone that you're not. Your job is simply to give. To meet the work with what you have, to finish the thing and share it as best you can, and then to keep going with the next one. This isn't about fame or numbers in the end. It's not about chasing approval or hustling for validation. Although many of us thought that way at first, I was one of them. But after doing this for a long time, there's kind of a quiet peace that comes about when you realize that the real joy is in the writing itself, and that the more we're willing to come to the page and sacrifice and give, the more of that joy we feel as we go. I think that's kind of what Russell Crowe was talking about. Because at the end of the day, this is about service. This is how we are fulfilling our purpose, or at least part of our purpose, in service to life in general. We're showing up with whatever heart and energy and attention we can manage, and we're offering it again and again and again. And I think if you keep that in mind, if you stay focused on giving instead of proving or performing, you'll start to realize how much of the rest is really just noise. What matters is what you have to give and that you give it. So your mission of the week, if you choose to accept it, whatever you're working on, see if you can approach it from this mindset. I'm here to give, not to prove anything, not to meet someone else's expectations, not to be perfect, just to give the best of myself that I can today. Because I think when we treat writing as an act of giving, that it changes the energy completely. And I think in a way, it makes it easier and it makes it calmer and not so stressful. There's not so much pressure. We're just there to give what we have to give that day. And as long as we come to the page and we do it, then we're good. If today's message struck a chord and you've been wondering why you even write at all, or whether any of it really fits with who you are, my book, Your Writing Matters, might be exactly what you need right now. It's a chance to reconnect with your purpose and to find out if writing is part of that purpose and to get clear on what writing actually means to you. And if you're feeling a little discouraged lately, like you're pouring so much into this and still questioning whether it's worth it, stick around for the video coming up on the end screen. It might help you. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you there.